covering recruiting and the transfer portal for the Razorbacks. This is Inside Arkansas Recruiting with Dudley Dawson.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Recruiting. John Neighbors alongside Dudley Dawson. We're going live once again, as you know, that means another player has officially committed to Arkansas out of the transfer portal. And it's funny, it's a player that we literally just mentioned in our last live stream, happens to be on the offensive line, as Memphis offensive lineman Josiah Clemens has not only entered into the transfer portal from Memphis, but announces via his Instagram page, Dudley, that he is officially becoming a Razorback. 6'7", 330 pounds. Not too bad of a size fella, especially on the offensive tackle position. But always said Arkansas needed tackles, and I say this is a pretty good place to start.
370 when he got to Memphis, down to 330 now. So obviously the conditioning program helped him out there, and I'm sure they'll be glad to get him here tomorrow. Maybe he just stays over. I don't know how that works when you can enroll right away. Do you send for clothes? I don't know, but a big old guy who was originally committed to Mississippi State, took a visit there and took a visit here and decided this was the place he needed to go. And, we've all been talking about getting big guys to play tackle. Well, that's a big one right there. Yeah, that's Shaq McCoy like.
Yeah, and I mean, in a way, I'm not going to try to take anything away from anybody, but, there were some people that when Shaq McCrory hit the transfer portal, and I won't say that anybody was just like, oh, devastated because this is the worst thing ever, but I think people were excited about the potential that could have been there if he would have stuck around. And, I know that these are different people, different human beings with different skill sets, but it kind of gives you at least a similar feeling with him. It's like, hey, is he going to walk right in and be a Sean Andrews? I mean, that'd be great if he could, but it at least kind of gives you the feeling of where you pick up where you left off with Shaq McCrory, where you got a guy that's big, tall, the quintessential type of offensive tackle that you need in the SEC to succeed. And I think there's a lot of potential there. Hopefully he just steps right in and gets it going immediately. But I think that all the things surrounding this guy could at least lead to him being a phenomenal player. Let's just hope it happens sooner rather than later, because I think Arkansas would like to have him start this year if he is at all capable for it.
Well, he'll have the opportunity with eligibility. He has 4 full more years. So, that gives him the opportunity. We all know, and we've talked about it during these updates, how the bigger guys who have to learn how to get the motor going, sometimes take a little time. Well, he had that opportunity to develop at Memphis this year. Maybe he'll be ready to play after going through spring practice here.
Yeah, I think that there are, a few players that you're still looking at and everything. And I know that with the offensive line, it felt like the interior offensive line had been taken care of, because essentially, if I can pull up my handy dandy little tracker here, you had again, I don't want to make assumptions on who's starting because you have a whole new coaching staff and everything, but just looking at it through a very real thing, you have the center of Caden Kittler. He's coming back, a guy who played a lot at center. Kobe Branham at the guard position is returning. Those were 2 big returnees, or guys you could have for retention there. And then you think about the Malachi Breland guy, who had already come from Memphis. That a lot of people were high on him. But that was about that offensive tackle. I know the Oregon State kid, the Adam Hawks, committed last night, but it just
last night.
Yeah, very late last night. I feel like that was very, he seems very small. 280 pounds at the offensive tackle position. Not saying anything against the kid. I hope he plays really well, but that's not something that just makes you think one way or the other. But between that and then the Matt Adcock kid. Now, or I guess, that was tight end, excuse me. But but then you had this guy.
That's he's going to be a celebrated, a glorified offensive lineman, though, too, because you look back at his snaps, and he did have 12 catches for 70 yards and 3 touchdowns, but most of his snaps were being on the end line and ready to block.
No, well, see, there you go. And I mean, they may be utilized that way, but I think it's fascinating too, Dudley, because something that I know we talked about whenever Ryan Silverfield was hired. I'm not going to try to make the comparison to Sam Pittman, but there was definitely a lot of offensive line coaching in his background, and where he comes from. And I think that was going to be one. I mean, everything's interesting when it comes to positions, but it's like, okay, usually it goes along with, hey, if you're the head coach and you have a specialty or you have experience in something, then people expect that to be really good. And with the offensive line, that's when I first got my indication that maybe he was going to be really having something to sell, is when he kept a couple of those guys. I mean, obviously it would have been nice to have a Marion Harris back, because we know he has so much experience and everything. But that was the thing that was going to be fascinating to see what he builds in his first year, because Pittman, for all of his intents and purposes, I think that the offensive line, I wouldn't say it was always really disappointing, but it definitely didn't live up to the billing that a lot of people felt like it would when he arrived on campus. And we also know how important it is to have on a good football team. But this is going to be fascinating to see if Silverfield, an offensive line guy, a guy with a background of an offensive line, what this is going to look like. And, does he do the cross training as much? Is it going to be like, hey, I don't care what position it is, we're just going to roll the 5 best guys out there? I mean, does he have it set to where it's like, hey, you're the tackle, you're the guard, it's going to be interesting to just see how he handles it being an offensive line guy himself.
You have 2 other offensive linemen who have been on campus in the past 2 days. We talked about Terrence Roberson, the young man from Warren, who has played the past couple of years at Ouachita. Came up here for a visit yesterday. Still waiting to hear back from him on how he's going to do things. LSU, Tennessee, Kentucky. We're all jumping in there, so I'm sure his head is spinning. But I know I'm sure he's talking to Bo Hembry, the coach down at Warren, and figuring out just which way he wants to go. And then also Bryant Williams was supposed to, and I suspect he did arrive tonight from Louisiana, a 6'7", 335 guy, pound guy that's played 24, had 24 starts at Louisiana.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that I think that they're going to have, some expectations for him as well. Because, you hear about these players that, we talk about the schools that they come from or whatever the connections that they have. But if you start to gain a lot of traction on it, the excitement starts to build for him. And I think that he is definitely one of those players, because I know Trey was asking about the guy from OBU and everything too. But also to bring up, this has nothing to do with necessarily Josiah, but this was something that I saw to just get tweeted out that I retweeted, with the fact that looks like LSU safety transfer Jordan Gilbert. He is going to be planning to visit Louisville, Florida State, Arkansas, Mississippi State, and UCLA. But he was a former top 175 overall recruit. He began his career at Texas A&M and made 24 career starts at A&M and LSU. So you were kind of laughing about it, Doug. It's like, man, I guess they need another defensive back. Why not? They got so many of them. But
Paul Bubinga, by the way, also is took a visit here, and still waiting to hear from him. And it sounds like he wants to play with his brother, but he's taking a couple of visits just to make sure. I guess that would be a contract drive thing. I guess maybe I don't know. We'll see. But so there's 2 other offensive linemen. They've got enough choices, that's for sure.
Yeah, they certainly do. And they still got a little bit of ways to go, but. Also the current roster of where it stands too, because you already mentioned some of the starters there that will be sticking around there. But I mean, I was looking at the tackle position, and it's so bare. It was just so bare for Arkansas, and that they're still going to try to add some guys into the mix there. But I don't know. I look back on it too, Dudley, of what the type of offensive line that Silverfield would have at Memphis, and I guess part of it is he's bringing a few guys that he had at Memphis, so it's going to be something similar to that. But I mean, again, am I sitting here saying that the offensive line is going to be great, that it's going to just be perfect, there's not going to be any issues, that they're going to be really balanced? I don't really know, but there's something to be said about being able to have at least 2 of the 5 guys being starters on the team last year, and then these other 2 guys that are being brought in being essential starters on the team last year for the guy that's coming in. So there's something nice about that.
The one thing I'm sure of is that the defense is going to be better next year, because there's no way it could be worse, man.
Yes, yeah, they got plenty of options there too. I mean, my goodness, it just continues to add into the mix. And we talked about it today, but Ryan Silverfield put out that tweet early this morning about the WPS, and so, he just immediately, I'm like, if he puts another one out there tomorrow, buckle up everybody, because it's going to be another wild day there. So either way, you got yourself another offensive lineman. You got an offensive tackle, one that you've been really eyeing on, and is Josiah Clemens, the 6'7", 330-pound offensive tackle from Memphis. As was it now, Dudley? You said 6 Memphis Tigers now have joined?
Yes, they're pulling away from Maryland now in the Arkansas transfer portal race.
Yeah, they love those M teams. Yeah, between that and then you got Michigan and throwing them into the mix as well. So it just keeps adding into the mix. But either way, we're going to continue to keep you updated on all of it. So be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas for any time a transfer portal pops. We're always going to be right here going live, talking all about it. So be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas. Follow us on social media at Inside Arkansas, and we'll keep it moving from there. Until next time, Dudley Dawson, I'm John Neighbors. We'll see you then. Have a great rest of your night.